Ravi was a quiet man who lived far from the town. His farm was large, stretching across wide green fields and brown soil that he worked with his own hands. Every morning, he rose before the sun and cared for his animals. His cows gave milk, his chickens laid eggs, and his goats kept him company with their soft cries. The land was his life, and though it was not easy, Ravi never complained. He liked the peace of living alone. The town was noisy, filled with people who gossiped and argued, but on his farm, he could hear only the sound of wind through the trees and the gentle calls of animals. His life was simple, and he thought it would always stay the same. Yet one night, everything changed. The sky that evening was heavy with clouds. A storm had passed earlier, leaving the air cool and damp. Ravi walked along the fence with his lantern in hand, checking the posts to make sure none had fallen. He had repaired many times before, and he liked to be certain that no wild dogs or thieves would trouble his animals. As he walked, the sound of crickets filled the air, and the faint smell of wet earth rose with every step. Then he heard it. At first, it was faint, like a low whistle carried on the wind. He stopped, holding his lantern higher. The sound came again, sharper this time, like a cry of pain. It was not the call of any animal he knew. It was not the howl of a wolf, nor the squeal of a fox. It was something else, something strange. Ravi's heart beat faster, but his hands stayed steady. He moved toward the barn, his boots pressing softly into the damp soil. The cry grew clearer as he drew closer, and now he was certain it came from inside. His goats shifted nervously, and the chickens clucked in low unease. Ravi raised his lantern, pushed open the barn door, and stepped inside. The smell of hay and animals wrapped around him, but beneath it was another scent, one he had never known. It was sharp, like the air after lightning. His eyes scanned the barn, and then he saw movement near the haystack in the corner. Something shimmered, catching the lantern light. Ravi narrowed his eyes. It was no dog, no cat, no wild thief sneaking about. From behind the hay, a small figure crawled out slowly. His breath caught. The creature was unlike anything he had seen on earth. Its body was covered in soft, shining scales that shifted colors in the lantern's glow, moving from silver to green to faint blue. Its wings were folded tight against its body, small but delicate, like the wings of a bat, only brighter. Its eyes were wide, glowing softly, filled with fear and confusion. The creature trembled as it looked at him, as though unsure if he would harm it. Ravi stood very still. His mind raced with questions, but his voice was calm when he spoke. "You are no beast from these lands." "What are you, little one?" The creature did not answer, of course. It only gave a soft whine, weak and tired. Slowly, it lowered itself onto the hay, as if too exhausted to stand. Ravi noticed its sides rising and falling quickly, as though it had traveled far and had no strength left. For a moment, Ravi thought he should run to the village, call the others, and show them what he had found. But then he imagined what the men would do. They would come with nets and ropes. They would not see a weak creature in need of help. They would see a prize, a danger, something to lock away or destroy. Ravi's hand tightened on the lantern handle. He made a choice. He stepped forward, his boots crunching on the straw, and crouched down a little distance away. His voice was gentle. "Do not fear. I will not harm you." The creature tilted its head, watching him. Its eyes were bright but soft, not wild like a predator's. Ravi set the lantern on the ground, reached into his pocket, and pulled out a piece of bread he had carried from his evening meal. He placed it on the hay, close enough for the creature to reach, and waited. For a long moment, nothing happened. The creature's eyes flicked between him and the bread. Then, with slow, shaking steps, it crawled forward. Its claws were small and sharp, but its movements were weak. It sniffed the bread, gave a low hum, and then, to Ravi's surprise, it began to eat. Ravi let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. He felt a strange warmth in his chest as he watched. This was no beast that came to bring harm. This was a traveler, lost and broken, in need of care. After the bread was gone, the creature curled back into the hay, closing its glowing eyes. Ravi looked at it for a long time, listening to its slow, steady breaths. He felt as if the stars themselves had sent it to his farm. Before leaving the barn, he spoke again in a quiet voice, though he knew it might not understand. "You may stay, but you must not wander. This farm is safe, but the world outside is not. Promise me, little one. Do not trespass beyond these fields." The creature stirred as if it heard him. Its tail gave a faint twitch, and then it sank into sleep. Ravi lifted his lantern and stepped back into the night. The crickets still sang, and the wind still moved through the trees, but the farm no longer felt the same. Ravi walked back toward his small house, his heart heavier and brighter at once. Something had come to his land, something from beyond the sky, and he alone had found it. He did not yet know what this meant for him or for the world. He only knew one thing. From this night forward, his farm would never be ordinary again. The morning sun rose slowly over Ravi's farm, painting the sky with soft orange light. Birds flew in circles above the fields, and the air smelled fresh after the storm of the night before. Ravi woke early, as he always did, but this morning felt different. He remembered the creature in his barn and wondered if it had been real or only a dream born from a tired mind. Still, his steps carried him quickly to the barn. He pushed open the wooden doors, and his eyes fell on the hay in the corner. It was real. The creature was there, curled into a small ball of shimmering scales. Its wings were tucked close, and its tail lay still on the straw. Ravi stood quietly, watching. The creature stirred, blinking its glowing eyes open. When it saw him, it gave a soft hum, neither fear nor anger, only recognition. Ravi let out a slow breath. He was glad it remembered him. "Good morning, little one," he said gently. His voice was calm, the same voice he used with newborn calves. "You made it through the night. That is good." The creature shifted weakly, as if trying to rise but failing. Ravi walked closer, careful not to startle it, and placed a bowl of fresh water near the hay. The creature sniffed, then dipped its small mouth into the bowl and drank with quiet gulps. Ravi smiled. He brought a piece of flat bread and set it on the ground. The creature sniffed again but did not eat. It seemed tired, and perhaps bread was not its food. Ravi thought for a moment. He went outside, gathered some goat's milk, and returned with a small bowl. The creature's eyes lit up faintly when it smelled the milk. Slowly, it began to drink. Ravi watched with quiet wonder. "So milk is better for you. That is fine. I have plenty of it." When the creature finished, it gave a soft trill, almost like a song. Its scales shimmered brighter for a moment, silver and green under the lantern light that still hung from a beam. Ravi crouched near it, not too close, and studied it carefully. The creature was small, no larger than a young goat, but its form was different from anything on earth. Its wings, though folded, were thin and delicate, shaped for flight. Its scales shifted color with every movement, as though light itself lived within them. Its eyes were large, round, and filled with quiet intelligence. "You are not a beast," Ravi said in a thoughtful tone. "You are something greater. Perhaps from the stars." The creature tilted its head, watching him as if trying to understand his words. Then, slowly, it reached out a claw and scratched a line in the dirt floor. Ravi frowned. He bent closer. The creature drew another line, then a circle, then small dots around it. Ravi's eyes widened. "That is no accident. That is a picture. You are showing me the sky." The creature gave a soft hum of agreement. Ravi sat back, silent for a long time. He had no doubt now. This was not an animal born of earth. It was a traveler from beyond. He whispered, "How far have you come, little one? And why are you alone?" The creature gave no answer. Its eyes grew heavy, and it curled into the hay again. Ravi stayed near, his mind filled with questions, but he did not press for answers. He knew it was weak and needed rest more than anything. Later in the day, Ravi worked in the fields as usual, but his thoughts often returned to the barn. He carried water buckets, repaired a fence, and fed the chickens, yet in his mind, the image of glowing eyes and shifting scales remained. At sunset, he returned again with fresh milk and found the creature waiting. This time, it tried to stand on its feet. It wobbled but managed to stay upright. Its wings twitched as though testing their strength, but it was clear they could not yet carry it. Ravi knelt nearby. "You must be careful," he warned gently. "Do not go outside yet. The villagers will not understand. They will fear you." The creature tilted its head again, as if listening. Ravi thought about the people in the nearby town. They were good folk, but they feared what they did not know. A glowing dragon-like creature would bring nothing but panic. Ravi decided he must keep this guest hidden, at least until it regained strength. That night, after supper, Ravi returned once more. He sat on a stool in the barn, near the hay where the creature rested. For a while, he simply talked, his voice low and even. "My farm is quiet. I live alone, and I prefer it that way. But perhaps it is not so bad to have company. If you wish to stay, you may. Only promise me one thing. Do not wander beyond my fields. If others see you, they will come with fear in their eyes, and I cannot protect you from them. Stay here, and you will be safe." The creature gave a faint trill, a sound that seemed close to agreement. Its eyes softened, and it lowered its head in trust. For the first time in many years, Ravi felt less alone. He rose, patted the edge of the haystack gently, and left the barn with a lighter heart. The stars glimmered above his fields, and he wondered if the creature's home lay among them. As he walked toward his small house, he smiled to himself. The world outside his farm might be large and filled with unknown dangers, but here, on his land, a strange friendship was beginning. A farmer and a little alien dragon, bound by trust and silence, had taken their first step towards something greater. The nights on Ravi's farm were always quiet, but now they felt different. Every time the sun went down and the stars appeared, he thought of the small creature sleeping in his barn. He had seen many strange things in his life: storms that destroyed crops, floods that covered fields, and even a fire that once burned half his land, but nothing was as strange as this little being from the sky. Days passed, and the creature grew stronger. Ravi called it Luma, for its body glowed softly in the dark, like a lantern under water. The name felt right, and though the creature never spoke words, it seemed to respond to the sound. Each evening, Ravi carried milk and water to the barn. Sometimes he brought fresh fruit, though Luma touched it only once and then ignored it. Milk was its favorite, and Ravi was glad, for he had plenty from his goats. Slowly, he began to notice changes. Luma's scales no longer looked dull. They shone brighter, shifting colors when the moonlight touched them: silver, green, and faint blue. But what amazed Ravi most were the drawings. Luma scratched lines in the dirt floor almost every night. At first, Ravi thought it was only playing, but the more he watched, the more he understood. The lines were not random. They were patterns, circles, and dots. Sometimes they looked like clusters of stars. Other times they showed shapes of something larger, like a round planet. One evening, Ravi brought a stick and squatted near the hay. When Luma scratched a circle in the dirt, Ravi copied it beside him. Then he added a smaller circle moving around the big one, like the way the moon circles Earth. Luma stopped and looked at him. Then it gave a soft trill and added more dots. Ravi's eyes widened. You are showing me your world, he whispered. He pointed at the big circle and asked softly, is this where you came from? Luma tapped the circle with one claw. Then it made another circle far away from the first and connected them with a long line. Ravi understood. You traveled far. From one world to another. The idea filled him with awe. The little dragon was not just lost. It was a traveler from the stars, stranded here on Earth. Ravi leaned back, his heart heavy with questions. How had it arrived? Where was its ship? Why was it alone? For many nights, he watched the drawings grow more complex. Sometimes Luma drew shapes of something that looked like a vessel, long and sharp with wings. Other times, it drew lights in the sky, like many stars moving together. Ravi guessed they were ships, perhaps the ones that had brought Luma here. One night, as the wind whispered through the barn walls, Ravi spoke again. Are you waiting for someone to return for you? Luma lowered its head, the glow of its scales dimming. It gave a soft hum, like a sigh. Ravi's heart tightened. So you are alone, he murmured. You have no family here. He sat for a while, watching the creature curl into the hay. The loneliness in its eyes reminded him of his own. Ravi had lived alone for many years. His parents had passed, and he never married. The farm was his life, but sometimes, when he sat by the fire at night, silence pressed too hard around him. Now, seeing the little alien dragon, he felt something he had not felt in a long time: companionship. Still, Ravi knew danger was near. The creature's glow was not natural, and if any villager saw it, there would be panic. Already he had heard whispers in the market when he went to sell eggs. Some people claimed to see strange lights in the sky, others spoke of cries in the night. Ravi kept his face calm and said nothing, but inside he worried. That evening, as he milked the goats, he spoke softly though no one was near. You must not trespass beyond my farm, little one. If they see you, they will not understand. Promise me you will stay hidden. Later, in the barn, he repeated the warning. Luma tilted its head, listening. Then, as if to show agreement, it folded its wings tightly and lay down in the hay. Ravi smiled faintly. He was not sure how much it understood, but he believed it trusted him. The days turned into weeks. Ravi and Luma learned from each other in small ways. Ravi showed it how to carry buckets with its tail, how to nudge the goats away from the fence, and how to chase wild dogs with sparks from its breath. The creature was quick to learn. In return, Luma revealed its own gifts. One evening, when Ravi planted beans in a patch of soil, Luma touched the earth with its glowing claws. By morning, small sprouts had already appeared, stronger and greener than usual. Ravi stared in wonder. You carry secrets from the stars, he said with quiet amazement. But though their bond grew, Ravi never stopped wondering. He often stood outside at night, gazing up at the endless sky. Perhaps one day, ships would return for Luma. Perhaps others of its kind were already searching. And if they came, what would they think of a human farmer keeping their little one safe? Would they see him as friend or foe? One night, as the stars shone bright, Ravi found Luma outside the barn. It was sitting in the grass, gazing upward, wings spread as if longing to take flight. Ravi's heart jumped in fear. You cannot wander out here. What if someone sees you, he whispered. Luma turned its glowing eyes to him. For a moment, Ravi thought it might run, but then the creature stepped closer and pressed its head gently against his leg. Ravi froze, then slowly placed a hand on its shining scales. They were warm, almost alive with hidden light. You wish to go back, Ravi said softly. But until that day comes, this farm is your home. I will keep you safe. Luma gave a low trill of agreement, then returned to the barn. Ravi followed, his heart heavy but calm. He knew the little dragon's heart belonged to the stars, yet for now, it belonged to this farm too. The farm had become brighter since Luma's arrival. Ravi noticed it in small ways each day. The beans he planted grew taller than usual, the goats seemed calmer, and even the hens laid more eggs than before. It was as if the little dragon carried some blessing from the stars. But blessings never came without burdens. Word began to spread in the nearby village. People whispered about strange lights in the night sky. A shepherd swore he heard a cry in the fields that no cow or goat could make. Children spoke of glowing shadows seen near the hills. Though no one mentioned Ravi's farm directly, he felt the eyes of villagers turning toward his land whenever he walked to the market. One morning, as Ravi sold milk and eggs at his stall, an old man approached. His name was Hari, a neighbor who owned fields not far from Ravi's. Hari's face was lined with years, his eyes sharp. "Ravi," Hari said, lowering his voice, "you live alone on that wide farm of yours. Tell me truthfully. Have you seen anything strange these nights?" Ravi kept his hands steady as he packed eggs into a basket. "Strange? Only the usual foxes and owls." "What do you mean?" Hari leaned closer. "People speak of lights. They say something fell from the sky weeks ago. Some even believe a spirit walks among us." Ravi gave a short laugh, though his heart was not at ease. "Spirits? Old tales. Storms make lights in the sky. You know this as well as I do." Hari studied him for a moment longer, then nodded slowly. "Perhaps. Still, be careful. If something truly strange walks this land, the village will not sit idle." Ravi returned to his farm that evening with heavy thoughts. He found Luma waiting near the barn door, its scales glowing softly in the fading light. The little dragon trilled in greeting, but Ravi raised a hand. "You must stay hidden," he said firmly. "The villagers are speaking too much already. If they see you, they will come here with fear in their hearts. Promise me again, little one, do not wander outside this farm." Luma lowered its wings and bowed its head. Ravi sighed with relief. He trusted the creature, but he also knew curiosity often pulled the young into danger. That night, the trouble grew deeper. 3 men from the village came walking up the dirt road that led to Ravi's house. They carried lanterns and long sticks, their voices loud as they spoke. Ravi heard them before they reached his gate. He stepped out from the barn, wiping his hands on his clothes, and called out, "Who comes to my farm at this hour?" The men stopped at the fence. One of them, a tall fellow named Manoj, spoke first. "Ravi, we mean no harm. But people are afraid. We saw lights over your fields last night. We heard cries not far from here. We came to look." Ravi's heart thumped, but his face remained calm. "You waste your time. My animals make many sounds at night. As for lights, storms pass often, and fireflies shine bright this season." The second man frowned. "We only ask to see your barn. If nothing is there, we will leave." Ravi shook his head firmly. "My barn holds my animals and tools. I cannot let curious men disturb them at night. Go back to the village. There is nothing here for you." The men exchanged uneasy glances. For a moment, Ravi feared they would push past the fence. But finally, Manoj raised a hand. "Very well. We trust you, Ravi. But if more strange things happen, the whole village will come, not just us." They turned and left, their lanterns swinging in the dark. Ravi stood still until their voices faded into the night. Then he hurried into the barn. Luma was crouched low in the hay, eyes wide with fear. Its glow was faint, almost hidden. Ravi knelt beside it and whispered, "Do you see now? They will not understand you. If they find you, they will take you away, or worse. You must be careful. Do not let them see you." Luma gave a soft hum, pressing its head against Ravi's hand. He stroked its scales gently, his heart heavy. For the next few days, Ravi worked harder to keep suspicion away. He avoided the market unless necessary. He repaired the fences so no villager could claim his animals had escaped. He even kept a lantern burning near the gate at night, pretending it was to scare off wild dogs, though truly it was to explain away any strange glow. But still, whispers spread. Children told stories of a shining beast in the fields. Old women spoke of omens. Some villagers believed good fortune was near, while others feared danger. Ravi knew both kinds of talk could bring trouble. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, Ravi found Luma standing outside the barn, staring at the sky. Its wings twitched as if longing to fly. Ravi rushed forward and placed a hand on its side. "No," he said firmly. "Not now. Not while they are watching. You promised me. Stay hidden, little one." Luma looked at him with glowing eyes. For a moment, Ravi feared it would disobey, but then the creature lowered its wings and followed him back inside. That night, Ravi sat long by the barn door, listening to the quiet. The farm was still, but his heart was restless. He knew the village would not stop searching. Sooner or later, someone would come again, perhaps with more men, perhaps with weapons. He looked at Luma curled in the hay, its scales glowing faintly like starlight caught in a net. He thought of the promise he had made on that first night to help the creature, but only if it stayed within the farm. That promise now bound them both. "Sleep well, little one," he whispered. "Tomorrow will bring new troubles, but we will face them together." Outside, the wind carried faint voices from the village. Ravi closed his eyes, knowing his simple life was no longer simple. The world beyond his farm was beginning to press against his gates, and the secret in his barn was too bright to stay hidden forever. The days grew warmer as the season turned. Ravi worked long hours in his fields, planting rows of beans and maize. Usually, he worked in silence, but now there was another presence beside him. Luma followed him often, its small wings folded tight, its glowing eyes watching every move. At first, Ravi worried about letting the creature outside, but as long as it stayed close to him and away from the village road, he felt it was safe. One morning, as Ravi lifted 2 heavy buckets of water from the well, Luma stepped forward. It wrapped its tail around one of the buckets and lifted it with surprising strength. Ravi stopped in surprise, then laughed softly. "So you want to help, do you?" he said. The creature trilled and carried the bucket with ease, walking beside him toward the rows of young plants. Ravi placed his own bucket down and watched as Luma tilted the other, spilling water carefully onto the soil. It was clumsy at first, spilling too much, but after a few tries, it managed to pour a neat stream. Ravi smiled. "You learn fast." "Very good." From that day, Luma joined him in his daily work. It carried buckets, nudged goats back into the pen, and even scared away the wild dogs that sometimes prowled near the chickens. A small spark of fire from its mouth was enough to send the animals running. The chickens clucked in alarm at first, but soon they grew used to their strange guardian. Ravi began to notice something else. The soil where Luma touched with its glowing claws seemed richer. Plants there grew taller and greener. One evening, Ravi planted a patch of beans near the barn and allowed Luma to press its claws lightly into the earth. Within 2 days, the sprouts were stronger than any he had seen before. Ravi knelt beside them in wonder. "You carry the power of your world," he whispered. "Even the soil listens to you." Luma tilted its head, as if understanding, and gave a soft trill. The bond between farmer and creature grew deeper each day. Ravi found himself talking more than he had in years. He spoke of his parents, who once worked these same fields, of the flood that had nearly destroyed the farm, and of the long seasons of loneliness. Luma never answered in words, but its glowing eyes never left his face. Sometimes it hummed softly, as if sharing its own quiet story. One evening, while Ravi repaired a broken fence, he noticed Luma scratching shapes again in the dirt. This time, instead of circles and stars, it drew something new. The shape looked like a tall, thin figure with 2 arms and legs almost like a human. Beside it, Luma drew a smaller shape with wings. Ravi stared at the drawing, then looked at the creature. "You and me," he said softly. "That is what you mean." Luma trilled happily, its scales glowing brighter in the dusk. Ravi felt warmth in his chest. For years he had worked this farm in silence, but now he had a companion who not only listened but also tried to speak back. Still, not all moments were light. Sometimes Ravi found Luma staring at the sky for long hours, wings trembling as if it wished to fly away. The stars seemed to call to it, and Ravi knew the creature's heart was not fully here. He sat beside it one such night and spoke quietly. "I know you belong to the stars, little one. I cannot keep you forever. But until that day comes, I will be your friend." Luma lowered its head against his arm, glowing softly as if in answer. The farm began to change with their teamwork. Crops grew faster, animals were calmer, and even the air felt brighter. Ravi noticed his own heart was lighter too. The loneliness that once filled his evenings was gone. He found himself laughing when Luma chased after butterflies in the fields or when it tripped over a water bucket. But while life grew brighter on the farm, whispers in the village did not fade. Ravi kept his visits to the market short, speaking little and buying only what he needed. Still, he heard children singing songs of a shining beast and men warning of omens. He feared the day someone might return to search his land. One afternoon, as Ravi chopped firewood near the house, he heard a strange sound behind him. Turning, he saw Luma with a stick in its claws, trying to copy his movements. It struck the stick against a log, breaking it with a small spark of fire. Ravi laughed so hard his chest hurt. "You think you can be a farmer too? Very well. You are my helper now." The little dragon trilled proudly, its scales flashing bright silver in the sunlight. As the days passed, they began to understand each other more. Ravi learned that certain trills meant hunger, others meant play, and a low hum meant fear. Luma learned Ravi's gestures, when to stop, when to follow, and when to hide. It was not words that bound them but trust. One evening, Ravi sat on the porch of his small house, watching the sky turn red with sunset. Luma curled at his feet, its wings folded like a blanket around its body. Ravi spoke softly. "I once thought this farm would end with me. No children, no family, only fields and animals. But now, when I look at you, I see something more. Perhaps I was meant to find you, or perhaps you were meant to find me. Either way, we are no longer alone." The creature lifted its head and gave a soft trill, almost like agreement. Ravi reached down and rested his hand on its warm scales. For the first time in many years, he felt complete. Yet deep inside, he knew this peace could not last forever. The village still whispered, and the stars above still waited. But for now, on this quiet farm, man and alien dragon learned from each other, step by step, day by day. The days on Ravi's farm had become warmer and brighter. The crops grew taller than ever, and the animals seemed happy and healthy. Luma had grown stronger too. Its wings, once small and fragile, had stretched longer, and it could flap them gently without falling. The little dragon followed Ravi everywhere, helping with farm work and sometimes chasing butterflies in the fields. Ravi enjoyed the company, yet he remained aware of the world beyond the farm. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Ravi noticed something strange. The sky, usually quiet and peaceful at this hour, was filled with small bright lights moving fast across the horizon. At first, he thought it was a flock of birds catching the last light. But the shapes were too precise, too straight, and they moved as if searching. Ravi's heart raced. He ran toward the barn, calling out, "Luma, come inside." The little dragon stopped, its glowing eyes wide with fear. It spread its wings slightly, as if preparing to fly. Ravi reached it just in time and placed a hand on its small body. "Stay calm," he whispered. "Do not move from the barn until I tell you." The lights grew closer. They were not birds or planes. They moved silently, scanning the ground below with beams of light that flickered across the fields. Ravi realized with a jolt that these were ships, unlike anything from Earth. They were searching, and their target was clear. "Luma," he said softly, "they are coming for you." The little dragon trembled. Its tail flicked nervously, and its glow dimmed. Ravi knew it could sense the danger. He lifted it gently and carried it toward the barn cellar, a place he had prepared for emergencies. It was a small space, hidden beneath the floorboards, filled with hay and soft blankets. Luma looked up at him with wide eyes as he laid it down safely. "Hide here," Ravi whispered. "Do not come out until I call. Promise me." The little dragon gave a low hum, pressing its head into the hay as if agreeing. Ravi covered the opening with a wooden board, just enough to hide it from view. Then he ran outside to face the lights. They were closer now, hovering over the fields, scanning with bright beams. Ravi's heart pounded. He had no weapons, no defenses except his knowledge of the land. Still, he would protect Luma no matter what. The first ship hovered over the barn. Ravi waved his arms, shouting at the bright beams. "Go away. This is a farm. There is nothing here for you." The ship's lights moved slowly, scanning every corner. Ravi ducked behind a stack of hay, keeping low. His mind raced. How could he protect the creature he had come to love? The other ships began to circle the fields, sending bright searches across the soil. Ravi knew they were from another world, Luma's world, and they were looking for their lost traveler. He remembered Luma's advice from its own movements. The little dragon had always been careful, and now it depended on him completely. Ravi ran toward the orchard and pulled a sheet over the fence, creating shadows and hiding spots. He carried small lanterns and placed them in odd locations, hoping to confuse the beams. The ships moved slowly at first, then faster as they realized something was hiding. Ravi held his breath, praying they would leave soon. The wind carried the sound of their engines like soft thunder across the fields. He felt a chill run down his spine. Luma was safe in the cellar, but if the ships searched too long, they would find it. Hours passed. Ravi barely moved, standing in the shadows and watching. The ships scanned every corner, then moved in patterns above the hills. Occasionally, a bright light would sweep across the barn. Ravi gritted his teeth, keeping silent. He could hear his own heartbeat over the quiet hum of engines. Finally, as the sky grew darker and stars appeared, the ships began to retreat. They moved slowly at first, then faster, until they disappeared into the night sky. Ravi did not relax immediately. He waited, listening for any sign that they might return. When he was certain the danger had passed, he ran to the barn cellar. He lifted the board and peeked inside. Luma was curled into the hay, trembling slightly, its glow faint but steady. Ravi knelt beside it and stroked its shining scales. "You are safe now," he whispered. "I told you I would protect you, and I kept my promise." The little dragon lifted its head and looked at him, eyes full of trust. It gave a low hum, almost a song of relief. Ravi smiled, though his hands still shook. They spent the night in the barn, sitting quietly together. Luma did not attempt to fly, and Ravi kept the cellar entrance covered. He thought about the ships. They were clearly from its world, and they were searching with determination. One day, they would return, perhaps with more ships, perhaps with stronger machines. Ravi wondered how he would protect Luma then. But for now, the farm was quiet again. The wind whispered through the trees, and the animals slept peacefully in their pens. Ravi sat with Luma at his side, feeling the warmth of its small body against his hand. He knew the chase from the sky was only the beginning. The world beyond his fields was larger and more dangerous than he had ever imagined. Yet he also knew one thing with certainty. He would not let anyone take Luma from him. Not humans, not aliens, not the stars themselves. He would protect the little dragon, even if it meant standing alone against the universe. By dawn, the first rays of sunlight touched the fields. Ravi had slept little, but he felt a quiet determination. Luma was safe, and for now, that was enough. He fed it fresh milk and watched it regain a little strength. The little dragon trilled happily, its glow returning brighter than before. "You are brave," Ravi said softly. "Even when the sky fell upon us, you stayed hidden. We survived together, and that is what matters." Luma pressed its head against his hand again, and for a moment, the world beyond the farm, the danger of the ships, and the fear of discovery all faded. Here, in the barn, they had each other. And Ravi knew, as he looked at the stars above, that one day Luma might return to them. But until that day came, they would face every challenge together. The chase from the sky had been frightening, but it had also proven something important. Their bond was stronger than fear, stronger than distance, stronger than any force that might come from above. Ravi smiled faintly, stroking Luma's shining scales one last time before preparing the barn for the new day. Together, they had faced the first real danger, and together they would face whatever came next. The morning sun rose gently over Ravi's farm, casting long shadows across the fields. Birds sang in the trees, and the smell of fresh earth filled the air. Life seemed peaceful again, but Ravi knew better than to take it for granted. The chase from the sky had reminded him that the world beyond his farm was vast, unpredictable, and sometimes dangerous. He stepped outside the barn, carrying buckets of fresh water and milk. Luma followed closely, wings folded, eyes glowing softly. The little dragon had regained its strength after the previous night's fright. Its scales shone silver and green, reflecting the early sunlight. Ravi smiled as he set the water and milk near the hay. "You are safe, little one," he said. "For now, we have peace again. But the world will keep testing us." Luma trilled softly, pressing its head against his hand. Ravi knelt beside it, running his fingers along its warm scales. The bond between them had grown stronger than ever. They had learned from each other, faced danger together, and built trust that neither time nor fear could break. That day, Ravi worked in the fields as usual. He planted rows of beans and maize, checking each plant carefully. Luma helped by nudging the soil around the seedlings and pressing its glowing claws lightly into the earth. The plants seemed to respond to its touch, growing taller and stronger than before. Ravi watched in amazement. "You truly carry a gift from your world," he whispered. "It is beautiful, little one." As the sun rose higher, Ravi noticed movement in the sky. At first, he felt a flash of fear. He thought the searching ships might have returned. But the shapes were different this time. They were soft, round lights drifting slowly, not sharp and scanning like before. He squinted and realized they were not threatening. "Luma," he said softly, pointing at the sky. The little dragon's eyes widened. Its wings trembled, not with fear but recognition. The light seemed to respond to it. Ravi realized with a quiet joy that these were not enemies. They were Luma's family. Luma stepped forward cautiously, its tail flicking nervously. Ravi knelt beside it. "Do you want to go home?" he asked gently. The dragon lowered its head and pressed it against Ravi's chest, giving a soft trill. It was a mix of gratitude, sadness, and trust. Ravi understood immediately. "You do not have to leave alone," he said. "I will see you off. And no matter where you go, I promise I will keep this farm safe for you." The lights in the sky drifted closer, settling near the far end of the fields. From one of them, a beam of soft silver light reached down. Ravi stepped aside, allowing Luma to move. The little dragon paused, looking back at him. Its eyes glowed warmly, as if saying goodbye without words. Ravi held out his hand. Luma brushed it gently with its paw, pressing a claw against his palm. The scales were warm and glowing faintly. Ravi whispered, "I will never forget you, little one. Go safely." With a graceful leap, Luma spread its wings and rose into the silver light. The other lights moved around it, forming a gentle circle. Ravi watched, his heart full of pride and sorrow. The dragon he had nurtured, taught, and protected was finally returning to its world. As Luma ascended higher, its glow became brighter, illuminating the fields with soft colors. The little dragon circled once above the farm, then shot upward into the sky, disappearing among the stars. Ravi stood still, feeling both joy and emptiness. The bond they had shared remained in his heart, a memory stronger than any fear or danger. He turned to the farm, feeling the quiet life settle around him again. The animals moved calmly, the crops swayed gently in the breeze, and the sun shone warmly. Ravi knew he had kept his promise. He had protected the creature, given it shelter, and allowed it to return safely to its family. That was all that mattered. Days passed, and the farm felt the same, yet different. Ravi continued his work, planting, watering, and feeding the animals. But the memory of Luma's glowing eyes and soft hum stayed with him. He often paused at night, looking at the stars, wondering how his little friend was doing among them. One evening, as Ravi sat outside his barn watching the sunset, he saw a faint glow in the sky far away. His heart leapt. Could it be Luma visiting from afar? He smiled quietly, feeling the connection was still there, even across worlds. Ravi spoke softly into the evening air. "I hope you are well, little one. I hope your world is kind and safe. You will always have a home here." The wind rustled through the trees, and Ravi imagined it carried a trill of joy from the little dragon. He felt a peace he had never known. The farm was quiet, but not lonely. It was alive with the memory of courage, trust, and friendship. Weeks passed, and Ravi worked harder than ever. The crops grew taller, and the animals thrived. He taught himself new ways to improve the soil and care for his animals. Though Luma was gone, the lessons they had shared remained. Ravi had learned patience, bravery, and kindness in ways he could never have imagined before. One morning, a child from the village approached the farm. Ravi greeted him warmly and noticed the boy's eyes were bright with curiosity. "Did you see it?" the boy asked eagerly. "The glowing dragon in the fields." Ravi smiled gently. "Perhaps. But remember, little wonders need protection. Sometimes the best way to help them is by letting them be free." The boy nodded, eyes wide with understanding. Ravi realized the lesson he had learned with Luma was bigger than just the farm. It was about respect, care, and trust in those who are different. As the sun rose higher, Ravi looked across his fields. The barn stood sturdy, the crops swayed, and the air was calm. He felt proud of what he had done. He had kept his promise. He had protected a life from another world, given it shelter, and let it return home safely. And though the little dragon had gone, Ravi knew he was not alone. The stars above held a friend who remembered him, and the farm held memories of trust, courage, and the gentle light of a creature who had changed his life forever. Ravi smiled. The world was vast, full of unknowns, but he had learned that kindness and courage could shine even brighter than the stars. The promise he had made to protect, to care, to trust had been kept. And that promise would live in his heart forever.